we start to talk business. And talking business means that we've been speaking about stuff that is produced as open source, which means stuff that can be used by everybody at no cost. This is not true. There is a cost. The cost is the cost of infrastructure. You're supposed to have a computer. You're supposed to have a connection to something. You're supposed to have means by which you can use this technology. So when you say that it can be used at no cost, it's a lie. And that's the hidden cost. And that's the problem lies in the fact that most of this open source stuff is developed here in the West. And we are unable to localize the technology. So it's a problem of translation in the end. We do not realize that these people to which we address the resource live in another environment. And if they live in another environment, they leave a tool that is apt to work in that other environment. So now we will spend a few minutes to analyze how most of mankind lives. And most of mankind does not have a broadband and Wi-Fi inside. So what we do is use a pen, as they would, because that's the situation. I speak from personal experience. I'm myself a native of northern Italy, but I spent the last 9 years in the Ukraine. And the Ukraine is pretty much a good representative of the situation of the so-called other world. I don't like to call it third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, because it's supposed to be classification in terms of who's best. But there are no best, there are simply different situations. That's the other world. The other world is a place in which there is basically no computer technology apart from the capital cities. The capital cities are usually an island in the middle of a territory, which is a nation. There is a small spot here called the capital city, and it's what you see on the BBC most of the time. There you have broadbands. There you have all the connectivity you have in Europe, you have supermarkets, you have all the stuff that you can possibly imagine. Well, okay, you need money for that. But if you have the money, you can live pretty much like everybody else in Western Europe. And that's Kiev in the Ukraine. That's where I live most of the time. I write it in Cyrillic because that's the way it's written. So you're supposed to appreciate the difference. Then you have the countryside where you have a dacha. A dacha is a small place, a hut, basically, and it's where most of the people live. Most of these places do not have anything like gas, water, except we do because we are rich, so we bought everything and put it there. But the thing that we couldn't buy is what there is not. Internet connection. And now, when we talk about connecting 80% of mankind to what we're saying here, we must appreciate the fact that in order to give them something, anything, you need a 10-foot pole with a directive antenna connected to a GPS phone here, and then possibly, if you're very lucky, you'll be online for 20 seconds. That's how it works. Because that's the only way in which you can really get to know what the problem is. Otherwise, you're going to speak about it. But it's different when you sit there and you're finding out all the four-letter words you can possibly imagine in order to download something that is just 15K big. Something that when you're in your home, you wouldn't even consider it a download. You just click on it. It's a picture. It's an icon. And it goes down. But you're working on a cell phone, and there happens to be a hill here. So you're down there, and the signal is here, and these are microwaves, so they don't go like this. So you need your pole to be higher than the hill. And this can be a very, very high pole. And even if there is a forest here, you're going to have a problem. Everything may be a problem. But this is exactly the kind of technology that is available as is. That's what we can use. Because it doesn't require governments to make a major investment with money they don't have. And they will not have in the next 10 years because there's a crisis going on. So we cannot expect revolutions to happen. They're printing lots of cash, but they're printing for the bankers, not certainly for the people here. The people here will remain with cell phones. And even if they were given something else, they would not consider it relevant, probably. But they do consider relevant the cell phone because it's a status symbol. They don't have the money to buy a Mercedes or Rolls Royce, but they can have a smartphone. So everybody has one. So when you go to entire areas of mankind, you're not going to find the usual tools that you've been seeing here before. Because those things are on computers. And computers won't be there. If they will be there, it will be at the local weirdo, who is a strange guy who's doing silly things because he's been in the university down there in the big city, and then when he came back, it was, you know, people speak with him, but they don't really understand what he's saying. Well, that's the sort of guy. Well, he will have a computer, it will run Windows, and it will be filled up with video games. That's the scenery. So when you talk about making big reforms, you have to understand that all this stuff we're making mostly for ourselves in the West. If we want it to report it outside, if we want him to reach the world, then it's got to go inside a phone, and it's got to be usable by somebody who doesn't give a damn, if you excuse the expression, about open source, about anything ideological or whatever. They simply need to, if it works, and they're going to use it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And they will ignore it. And that's it. So, what we have? A technology called GPRS. You will always hear something else called ANLOC. They basically mean what? They mean, if I still have service that can be sold, I'll give it to you. If many people are calling at the phone, the bandwidth is taken, you wait. If it's 4 in the morning and nobody's phoning, then okay, I can give you an internet connection. You pay for it anyway, all day long. But in the moment in which nobody's phoning, then you can use it. It also means that since you have lots of problems, bad weather, strong wind, anything will make communication very difficult. Other things that are coming out more recently are called like WiMAX. You might have heard of it. WiMAX is like putting a small computer somewhere which has a sort of radio station attached to it. It's being used in Indonesia recently to rebuild connection in places after the big tsunami, because it was the only way to do it without running cables. WiMAX is fine. It's got the same problem you have here. A hill and you're done. So you don't want to have places like mountains or things like that. And when we speak about the other world, you might be under the impression that I'm speaking about the Amazons, valleys, that this happens to me in Ukraine because I'm crazy and I went there, but a normal person will remain here and live a normal life. Well, most of the Alps, where I was born, are exactly in this situation. Because in the Alps there are not many people living, so there's nothing calling out for a big investment. And when you have problem with avalanches and stuff, or floods, then the people simply remain cut off there. And that's the middle of Europe. It's not really a place out there on planet Mars. This is a situation that we have all over. So when we talk about localization, we have to understand that the culture that we're talking about is not only expressed by language. Culture is a lifestyle, is an environment, is what you eat, is how you live. When you make a localization, and this is the start for what we will say later on about dictionaries, you have to understand that you speak of a way of life. And the way of life is also the technology that you have available, along with the food, with your religion, with whatever else. We tend to ignore this stuff in the West. And very often we tend to believe that making a translation means I write Big Mac in ideograms. Well, maybe there is no Big Mac there. So I make the ideograms, but they don't have any use for it because there is no McDonald's. And that's exactly what happens. We do lots of development. Then we go to Bangladesh and we say the wonderful thing. Okay guys, I know you're building a dike because you have to stop the flow from coming in. I have made a translation of this